What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
And I'm Jason.
and you are listening to the first Liquid Carnage of 2022.
Oh my gosh, boy, we're coming around the corner on the end of season 5,
Oh
and
man, that's
I
almost
know,
syndication levels right there.
yeah, we're getting dang close to the end of season 5 and start of season 6.
Oh man, that's
It's
amazing.
insane.
It,
Yeah,
it's we've been doing this for 6 years now.
yeah, yeah. And I remember, like I said, I think I mentioned on the last episode. I've listened to a few of the podcasts from way back when in seasons 1 and 2, and we've come a long way in terms of what we talk about and what spurs our interests. And I remember in the beginning we had just kind of as Tom would say, that hated structure of we have to have questions and we have to have all this stuff. And we've migrated into what we always wanted the podcast to be, which was a conversation of two guys, maybe in a bar, maybe just talking and catching up on life.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what we did over New Year's,
Oh
in
yeah,
person, face to face.
yeah.
And I do want to thank you, and you should probably thank me that neither of us had the idea that we should try to record this episode New Year's Eve. We were having a few cocktails, not a lot, but a few cocktails.
I think that we've learned, we've had several occasions to try to mix alcohol in a podcast. And all the times we've done it, it just hasn't turned out well. So, yes, kudos to us. We decided to keep the recording down and just focus on friendship and focus on the new year.
That's right. It was a great time. Very, very
Yeah.
lot of fun. It's funny. You took Janice and I to you and Noreen took Janice and I to Cam Bazam or Bam Kazam,
Bam Kazam.
Bam Kazam, and what this was
Bam.
for our listeners out there, it was this very cool experience. I think everyone was a little apprehensive because you kept apologizing as we were getting there, saying if it sucks, we're sorry. But it's basically it's miniature escape rooms, like smaller scale escape rooms, designed as you're a video game character and you have to complete the level to beat the game. And there's 3 levels to each escape room, and there was mental and there was physical activity. And I tell you what, man, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was wanting to do something that would be low key and would be kind of fun, but wouldn't be like a fancy dinner or we have to go out to some club or something. But I thought let's try to find something fun. And Noreen had found I was going to look at an escape room, but then Noreen found this. And for those of you who are listening who might come down to either join us or to do it yourselves, the great thing about the adventure is that you basically pay for a 2 hour window, and in that 2 hours you can go in as many times as you want to any of these mini escape rooms. Your goal is to try to finish all 3 levels of the escape room, and if you do, then you've accomplished the escape room. We were there for 2 hours, and we only got to a level 2 maybe a couple times. We could go
Exactly.
back there again and again, and it would not be old because we would take what knowledge we did gain and then try to make it on the next one.
And I should point out that if you don't finish within the 3 minute allotment of the escape room, it's game over. You have to leave. So you can't come back and start on level 2. You have to go back to level 1, do level 1, and to get to level 2 and level 3, and so on and so forth. So you don't get to come back where it was game over. You start back from the square one. So it's definitely an adventure, and I think we all left a little sore, a little bruised, but definitely had a great time. So I think it's something that we will be doing again.
Yeah, yeah, and I had a really good time doing that. Another thing that we did that I has stuck with me is Scott, you introduced us to the Oculus virtual reality
Oh yeah.
gaming system, and it's amazing. I was talking about the podcast being 5 years and how we've moved from that. I've seen virtual realities from 5 years ago,
Hmm.
and the technology advancements now on the virtual reality is just unreal. How realistic it is. It
Yeah,
was insane.
it's interesting because the Oculus is created by Facebook or Meta, whatever the hell they call themselves this week.
Yeah, meta.
And it's their goal to make the Oculus part of your regular work world within the next 3 to 5 years, where you'll have virtual meetings in the meta world and you'll be able to get on there and do work and whatever else. Kind of like that movie Ready Player One.
Yeah, Ready Player One. That's right. Yeah.
It's a very interesting concept, but it's also a very terrifying concept.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know,
I
you
mean,
know,
I think that the more that we isolate ourselves and we try to live virtual realities than what a real reality is, it could be a little scary.
I think it could be very scary, and I think it it's not healthy for humans to interact only virtually. I think physical interaction is just it's better for you in the long run. Being outside, doing the things, and not having your eyes inches away from a screen to live your life is definitely the best way to go. You know.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think too that it is if you can keep it in controlled environments. I had a lot of fun playing with your your virtual reality machine. I mean, the headgear. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. And I limit myself to when I do play it. If I do play it, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes a day, and that's it, just to make sure that I get my use out of it, gets exercise, and get to have a little bit of fun with it. But I don't want to live on it because it is an adjustment when you take it off to like your head kind of hurts and just kind of readjusting to the world around you, boundaries.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I had a friend in my old office who played a game called The Sims, Sim
Oh
Family,
yeah,
or
yeah, 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 yeah.
where you basically create a world and characters in a computer game system. And probably the World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
same thing is that you can build characters and then play with other people and introduce yourself to other people. There's something about just being involved with people and ultimately we spent New Year's together this year and it was really fun just to be friends and just enjoy the day and the
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it does. Some of the upsides, to something like virtual realities, it was fun for New Year's. But you guys being in Phoenix and us being up here, we can't obviously do it, get together as much as we like. But something like the Oculus gives like you and I the opportunity to go golfing because there was a golf game I showed you,
yes.
just Top Golf or playing cornhole, where we can go and play and communicate, and we can see our avatars or whoever else is on there, playing the game with us, and it's just kind of a fun way to stay connected too, from a distance. But long term, not a viable social option.
Yeah, well, and let's be honest. I mean, even now we're still dealing with, for a lot of us, we're separated. I mean, not only distance wise, but we don't even know how to treat each other anymore with a little bit of kindness and common ground. So maybe this virtual world is the way to do it, where we're all playing a game even though we can disagree on something, we just play the game and have fun. But we're in a different world now, so
you
maybe
know
that's why everyone wants to go to virtual world because it's like starting over.
maybe you're right. I'll tell you a story. I had, we record this on a Monday, first real working day of the calendar year, and I had to go to a meeting at the county, a board of supervisors meeting, and in support of the hospitals in our area are trying to ask the county for a proclamation declaring a state of emergency, because of staffing shortages, because of resources and whatnot. Trying to let people know that, hey, the level of care you expect you might not get. This isn't just because of COVID. This is because we're short staffed and beds are full. We can only staff provide on the amount of nurses and other support staff that we have. So, think twice and think hard about why you want to come to the hospital, and understand that you might not get that bed that you think you deserve, because of the current working situation and healthcare situation.
Okay,
And
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just if you put a proclamation out there, then at least the county has made it known to all citizens that hey, we're doing our best, but we're understaffed and we're dealing with COVID, and so just bear with us, right? Got it.
exactly, that's the spirit, that's the intent of this proclamation. And it was challenging to sit there and listen to some of our leadership of our county question, the how accurate our information was and the veracity of the situation. And on top of that, I don't know if you've ever attended a public civic meeting, whether it be a city council or a legislative, at the state level, or even a meeting like this, you have your group of retirees that feel they need to come and speak at everything and give their.
Oh, okay. No, I've never experienced that, but I've seen videos and stuff where people go a little overboard trying to make their point across.
Well, those were full of. We were full of those today.
Oh
uh,
God, no. Oh,
and and,
jeez.
and they sat there and uh, to be honest, I'm not sure where they get their information from, or how much they will tell you they fact check their information, but you don't get to cherry pick facts. Facts are facts, and science is science unless you're talking to Aaron Rodgers. And and I tell you, these people were just attacking healthcare in general by the end of it. And as the proclamation did pass ultimately, but as they were taking a break, and those hospital employees from all over the county that were there in support, these people walked out and called us all murderers.
What?
Yeah,
Why?
because in their mind, we're just taking money to pump people full of medicine that's not good for them and will kill them ultimately.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not. Oh, jeez.
Wow. And it's one of those, like, we're walking out of there like we're literally trying to help save lives. We're literally trying to help you, and you know, for you to do that, man, it's like, where's the civility on this? And that's what the CEOs that were speaking were asking for, is like, hey, we understand you don't have the same viewpoint as us, and we get it. Like, we're here to help take care of you, but can you please respect what we're trying to do, and we can be civil about it. We're trying to be civil for you. Please be civil with us. And I am blown away by the amount of rudeness, short-sighted, narrow-mindedness of the people that speak. But then again, you know, I look at some of the stuff that goes on at the Washington level, and you know, Representative Gosar's office was there today, and
Oh.
I'm sorry, they have no room to talk. And we have so many representatives on a national level acting like this. It trickles down, you know, and it disappoints me. And one of the people that was in there that I work with, we were walking out, and they kind of looked at me and said, "And you grew up in all this?" And I said, "Hey, I don't represent the people like this. Like, there are those of us that grew up here that do not have these viewpoints clearly, and are trying to make this world a better place." But man, I tell you what, when you see those people take that stance, and it's more or less just being a stubborn, like, you can't tell me what's wrong because I know what's wrong and you're not right, and not even be open minded to having new information, or accurate information. It's why the
Yeah.
world's getting so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Denver for the next couple weeks. Hey Tom, how you doing? Actually, I'm in Denver. I'm helping a friend and his family. They're going through kind of a tough time right now, so they asked for an extra, set of hands to help with kids and get kids around to school and their activities. But my friend was telling a story that one of his daughters at the high school had a little bit of a cold. She wasn't feeling well, and so she went to the nurse, and the nurse basically sent her away with a note to my friend saying, "Hey, your daughter might have COVID. You need to get a test, or she can't come back to the school." Well, my friend was like, "I don't understand this. She's got a cold. She doesn't have the symptoms of COVID." So he went in to ask the nurse, what the policy was about this, and to understand a little bit better. And I guess this nurse just came across like, tisk tisk. If you have to ask me about this, then you're one of those people who doesn't understand COVID. Well, my friend's a firefighter. He's a first responder. He understands COVID all too well.
Yeah.
So he immediately was put on the defensive and was getting in an argument with this guy. And it's like, if the guy would have just been calm and just said, "Hey, look, here's what our concerns are. We've got to worry about this and this. Here's the policy on what you'll need to know about getting, COVID responses. I understand that, philosophies are different on this stuff, but here's what we need to do. My friend would have been saying, "Hey, thank you. Let me read this over and I'll call you or email you with any questions."
Yeah.
But just the guy's attitude was so abrasive and confrontational that my friend just went into, pure defense and I'm going to kick your ass mode.
You know,
And when someone like that, so when someone does something like these people in the board of supervisors meeting, you're instantly on the defensive, like, what in the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what is your attitude problem?
I tell you, man, it's funny how everything shifts. You know, when this whole thing started 2 years ago now, Jesus. Uh,
Yeah,
Everyone
crazy.
praising healthcare workers, first responders. You know, kids were being taught from home, so teachers were, being praised because of the amount of work that they end up having to do because parents can't teach their own kids. And you fast forward 2 years later, we're the enemies because we're the healthcare is the enemy because we're asking you to get vaccinated so we can keep our hospital numbers normal and get through this pandemic. And teachers are being persecuted because they're asking for more help. And kids are basically gone feral for not being in school consistently for the last 2 years.
Well, and I asked my friend, too. I said, do you think that sometimes the response on like when someone says, "Oh, well, screw that. I'm never going to get vaccinated, never going to get a mask, never going to do anything." I asked them, do you think sometimes they're only saying that just to respond in adversarial against someone telling them they have to do something or they better do something instead of like they might agree with you, but your presentation of how, of the message can really dictate the response you get from someone. And he said, "Oh, wholeheartedly. Sometimes I say things simply just to get a rise out of a person that I feel is disrespecting me or not treating me with respect." And I thought, man, that's so true because sometimes you're so worried about the defense that you're not even listening to what they're saying.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us do that though too. It's that if you don't respect what I'm trying to say, respect my opinion, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to drive. I'm going to stand my ground and really show you the why I'm right. But that doesn't always mean it's the right thing to do. And normally, people will allow cooler heads to prevail after they take a step back and have a chance to cool down. But man, I tell you what, watching some of these people today, it's like this is what they do. They're old and retired, and they would never survive in the virtual world because they can barely work their phones. And to come out and just say these things, like we're not trying. Obviously that's not the audience we're trying to hit with this. But just to be so nasty and vile, just the people that are literally there just to show support. I mean, it shows you the level of decency that's disappeared in our society.
Yeah, my friend, I guess his dad was here with the family before I had gotten here, and he left. And one of the topics that they were talking about was what was it? Oh, daycare, free daycare. One of the Build Back Betters was free daycare for children under the
Yeah.
age of 5, preschool and stuff. And this guy's an elderly person. He's probably in his mid 70s, somewhere around there. And his first thought is, well, why should I have to pay for something that I'll never use?
Yeah.
And it's like, where does that attitude come from? We're not individuals that just happen to live on the same piece of land. I mean, we are a society, and why you would say something like that is so just nasty. I mean,
Well, it's also an uninformed comment, and those are there's a lot of those comments today. We had a lot of those people that stood up and argued about healthcare say that the county pays the hospitals an enormous amount of money to keep the doors open, which
it's
I'm
not
not even.
true.
That's not true at all. I'm not even sure where that's coming from, but people get this in their mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so I got my friend and I were talking, and he said, I just don't understand why someone who's older has this mentality or would say that when you consider that when they did have kids, someone was their age paying taxes to help support their education of their children. So, it comes full circle. We need to remember that we're all in this together. We're not just individuals living, our free lives, and we can do whatever we want. Well, yeah, we are free, but we also, we owe something to each other. We know something to be good to each other, and understand each other, and try to work well with each other. And maybe this virtual reality world is the well, a glimpse of what people say. You know what? At least here, uh, you know, I don't have to. I can live a different kind of world or something.
Maybe,
Because I can't believe that someone would actually call someone a killer. Like that. That's just awful. Like,
yeah. Well, the sad part is clearly those were very right winged attitude people, and all I can sit there thinking as they're yelling this stuff is, you know, they're thinking, "Damn you, liberal healthcare mentality," and we don't want socialist anything. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, the way people are screaming, if you don't want this, you better be rejecting Medicare and your Social Security. But I highly doubt
yeah,
the problem.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. You don't want, you know, you don't want the government involvement. Then why don't you forfeit your Social Security then?
yeah, exactly,
Because frankly, I'm paying for something that I'm probably not even going to get when I get to that age. You know what I mean? They're
exactly.
already saying that we may still get it, but it's going to be at a reduced rate because there's not enough money to cover it. And I've been paying for elderly people to have Social Security now for years, and maybe I should complain and say, well, I don't want to support your Social Security.
Yeah, that's exactly it. 'Cause I've always been taught that I'm not paying for mine. I'm paying for the who's those who are getting it right now, and someday
Right.
those people working will be paying for mine. I really think
Right.
that's right, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you
And like you said, I mean, just the tone that you can take with someone, you know how much different life could be if people just were respectful of the tone?
yeah,
Like, I've had disagreements with people about a lot of different things, but we've done it with the respect of each other to say, look, I disagree with you, but I can talk civil to you. I don't, and it changes the whole dialogue. It turns into a dialogue. But when someone is just immediately confrontational, like my friend, he said this nurse got like basically tisk tisk with him, and it's like, who are you, buddy? I mean, you don't
yeah,
even know who I am, and you didn't have to answer that way. And then as soon as calmer heads prevailed, and they started talking, and then they came up with a solution for my friend's daughter. And the solution was ultimately what I think the nurse wanted to have if he just come in it with um, a
attitude.
better tone. Yeah,
Yeah,
better attitude, better tone.
yeah,
And I don't think that the hospital, if someone came and respectfully said, "Hey, one of the problems I have with the hospital is sometimes I feel that funds go toward prescription of drugs that hurt us."
yeah.
That tone changes a whole discussion.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Murders doesn't that gets you a different discussion, right? I mean, that's something you can't really work with. There's nothing anything you can do to fix that.
You get pretty cut and dry with that, and that kind of
Yeah,
the whole yeah. Like, all right, if you're gonna call me this, then clearly I'm not working with a sane
yeah.
person in this conversation, so I'm not even gonna do anything about it. It's what it is what it is.
Well, and the worst part is, this is the worst part. When something happens to them and they get sick, where are they gonna go? They gonna stay home,
Exactly.
put some dirt on it? Are they gonna, drink some bleach? No, they're gonna go to the hospital. So it's like you just made yourself look like a moron. So
Well, that's the thing is they know damn well that you know where they're trying to help. It's just they're just being ignorant about it, and they're saying, "Well, we'll just go, we'll leave the county and go to other healthcare facilities." Like you're right, you're absolutely right. We're the only 4 hospitals in the country, if not the world, trying to pull the wool over your eyes and make you think that we're in a pandemic and a state of emergency. Please go to literally any other hospital and see if you're and hope that they're not having the same issues.
right. Yeah. Well, and even if you take it a step further, how does that comment help the issue, help the problem? It
Yeah,
doesn't. It's like dropping a turd sandwich on the table and expecting everyone else to take a bite of it. I mean, it serves no purpose whatsoever. And maybe it's just you want to vent. Maybe that's what it is. But you're not going to be taken seriously. No one's going to look at you and say, "Oh, that's a rational concept or rational thought." So,
yeah, man.
oh man,
I just looked at we are driving back from there, and I looked at the 2 people that work for me were in the car, and like, if this is a precursor to how the rest of this year is going to go, man. We're in for a wild ride. Like it's going to be, if this sets the tone, it's going to be an adventure. And I don't know if it's going to be a great adventure, but we're going to go through some shit this year.
Well, I will say this, that the one thing I did love about New Year's too is it reacclimated and reconfirmed to me that there are people that I really owe and they deserve to have my best energies.
Hmm.
And I don't need to worry about the people that don't deserve my best energies.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
um, I've been doing some writing, journaling, and some little writing lately. And one of my frustrations that I wrote in my journal recently was, I'm tired of wasting my talents on things that don't deserve my energies.
Yeah.
Wasting my thoughts and energies, and someone like that, you can't even take him seriously. And the worst part is that there's a legitimacy probably behind what they said. Maybe it's they lost a family member at the hospital, or maybe it's they've been in pain because the hospital couldn't fix them the way that they thought they could. And you know we'll never know. We'll never know. All we'll know is that there was some person with a bad attitude, which
Yeah.
doesn't serve any purpose, just does
No,
not serve a purpose.
and nothing gets resolved with that. And when people are there just trying to have a healthy dialogue, just trying to let more people know that this is the problem, this is what we're trying to do to solve the problem. Please help us fix this problem.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
running out there screaming and refusing to uh, even have an open mind is detrimental to the whole situation. On
Well,
so,
it sure does. It just proliferates the stereotype.
oh yeah, oh absolutely,
You know what I mean? It's like, oh well, yep, that's exactly what I would expect from someone like you. So,
yeah, yeah. It's like I'm not surprised, but
but the supervisors did ultimately vote it in or
they did
make the
ultimately, but
proclamation.
with caveats, obviously. But yeah,
Okay.
they voted in. Some of the wording they thought that we were going to try to use this to get more funding, and we had to explain that no, resources means people from the government, not funding from the government. And you would, but coming trying to explain it to another government official is ultimately just sometimes just not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, well, and ultimately, this issue is going on all over the country, big cities, small cities. So it's not like, oh, Kingman and the county is just a unique issue. Everyone else is doing fine, so let's get some free stuff. I mean, everyone's having this issue of
Exactly.
lost, not enough personnel, not enough resources, burned out resources. I mean, it's just sad,
Yeah, and just to play devil's advocate, I'm fully aware that there are other counties and cities going through the opposite of what we're going through, where they're having excessive precautions, and those people with the precautions are yelling at those who are ignoring the precautions. It's just there's no right answer for any of this, and it's dragging on. You can see it's a burnout across the board from everybody, just the energy that it's taking to even deal with this.
So maybe there should be a new regiment where everyone spends 45 minutes in the virtual world, calms the nerves, and then goes back out in the real world after that and continues moving on.
Yeah, maybe that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a bad.
Combination of the virtual and the real world into
Yeah.
one glorious society, man.
Well, as we wrap up today's show, we did have a third topic, but we'll save that for later because I did want to go down the rabbit hole for one of my other interests, which is the paranormal
Next
and
week, baby. I
the
love it.
Watch. We'll talk about that next week. But if you've had an encounter in virtual reality, or with somebody who's just been really bitter about this whole COVID situation, or just healthcare in general, we want to hear about it. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Liquid Carnage. Or if you want to see our EP Tom get some great photos with Jason up in the greater Denver area, hit him up at liquid_EP on Instagram and Twitter.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, well, this is going to get released on January 6th, and I think we all know that that's an anniversary of something. So keep safe, be safe, everybody. I mean, just realize we're all in this together, and we'll get through this as long as we remember that each of us is a person that we need to work together as best we can. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. So be safe out there.
hey, thanks for listening, everybody. We always appreciate you. Happy New Year. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some liquid courage.